It's Thursday, the 16th of December 2021. Welcome to the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Morning, Michael.
All right, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Here we go. Story number 1. Sean, state governments have been warning of a surge of COVID cases for a while now, and indeed, it's already arrived in New South Wales with nearly 1,400 cases recorded yesterday.
That's right. It's back to September levels and the 7-day average is rising fast. It came as the state wound back restrictions, including giving unvaccinated people the same freedoms as vaccinated. It sounds pretty terrifying, but only 166 people are currently in hospital in New South Wales, including 24 in intensive care. That's the good news. As Omicron spreads through the community, and it will, it's critical that hospitalisation rates stay low. The bad news is that New South Wales Health Minister Brad Hazzard said the worst case modelling put the peak at 25,000 cases a day. Now, that's the worst case, not the most likely case, but it's pretty scary. As vaccine rollout czar General JJ Fruin said yesterday, the rise in cases is part of living with COVID, and hopefully restrictions won't be needed over Christmas. Prime Minister Scott Morrison agreed, saying the government was taking the Omicron variant desperately seriously, but Australia's had to learn to live with the virus.
Okay, story number 2. We know the property market has been booming, but it has officially recorded its best year in 3 decades, according to CoreLogic. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Sure is. The group's Best of the Best report is released today. It shows that more than 614,000 houses were sold in 2021. That's the highest level in almost 18 years. And prices rose nationally by 22.2% in the year to the end of November. That's the biggest jump since 1989. The total value of the market has gone from $7.2 trillion 12 months ago to $9.4 trillion. Just incredible. Low interest rates, government handouts, lender support to borrowers during the pandemic. Remember all those loan holidays from the banks? Higher savings rates and a relatively low level of stocks, particularly earlier in the year, drove the increases. Also, rates of turnover before 2021 had been relatively low, so there was a bit of pent-up demand. If you have a look at the details, it even gets more interesting. Freestanding homes are up 25%, units just 12%, but the top price sale of the year was a unit in Sydney CBD, which went for $60 million. Regional Australia did really, really well. The highest median value home price was in Bellevue Hill in Sydney's eastern suburbs, and that was $8.7 million. The lowest median house value was Kambalda East in Western Australia at just $90,000.
Pretty extreme difference, isn't it? All right, story number 3. Sean, consumer confidence fell back this month. One could probably assume that's the result of the Omicron outbreak.
Yes, presumably. The Westpac Melbourne Institute Index of Consumer Confidence fell slightly. Mind you, it remains at relatively high levels and it's above its long-term average. What's really interesting is that consumers are more worried about higher prices, not surprising given how much media attention has been given to inflation. The question about whether now is a good time to buy a major household item fell more than 5%, and that's a great predictor of what's going to come. It comes a day after the National Australia Bank Business Survey showed a drop in confidence, but a pickup in business conditions. All in all, things are probably slowing just a touch, but they're still pretty good.
Okay, story number 4, Sean, Toyota, which I was a bit surprised that they hadn't embraced the electric vehicle revolution as quickly as you probably think they would have. It appears they've seen the light.
Yes, yesterday they came out and said they'd make 3.5 million electric vehicles a year by 2030. Remember, until Tesla's incredible share price surge, Toyota was always the biggest car company in the world. Now, all models of its Lexus brand will be electric in the US, China and Europe by the end of the decade, it says. But it cautions that not all consumers are ready for the EV revolution, and particularly those consumers who don't live in the major cities. And that's a global phenomenon. I think they're right there.
Okay, story number 5, Sean, I know this is kind of free advertising for the airlines, but I don't care because I just love talking about travel, and there are some really, really good deals around the place at the moment.
It sure is. Jetstar yesterday launched a campaign to sell more than 500,000 seats starting from just $29. That's a flight from Sydney to Melbourne's Avalon Airport. There are fares on all 60 of the carrier's domestic routes for under $100 and also big deals on international flights. There are flights to Thailand, Fiji, Japan and Hawaii for under $200. Meanwhile, Qantas said it will launch direct Perth to Rome service from June, reducing the fastest trip to the Italian city by 3 hours. Italy is the number one destination in continental Europe for Qantas. Don't you just love these stories? Cheap airfares, we're all going to be flying again, Michael.
Yeah, no, look, I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon, but I'd just like to know that I can.
Exactly.
All right, that's it. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 16th of December, 2021. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't quite enough, then you can find our longer podcast called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.